This past homeschool year was not our smoothest. I had a 9th grader, 6th grader, and 3rd grader, and it was the first time for 2 of my kids to bump up a level to middle school and high school. And naturally, there were some bumps along the way, and I wanted to go through some of the hits and misses of our curriculum for the 2023-2024 school year. Hi, I'm Trisha at Juicebox Homeschool, and we just wrapped our 10th year of homeschooling. And like I mentioned before, I had a 9th grader, 6th grader, and 3rd grader this past school year. Today I'm going to share our curriculum hits and misses, and I'm joining a collaboration with Abby from Rooted in Rest and Jessica from the Waldock Way. And there's a playlist linked down below, which includes other homeschool moms sharing their hits and misses for the years. So if I'm not sharing the grades where you're at, be sure to check the link because there's a variety of moms sharing at different grade levels that I'm sure will be resourceful to you in some way as you plan for the next school year. Let me start with some of our curriculum misses with you. And first I want to just add a note that curriculum hits and misses is the title of this collaboration. I feel like the curriculum misses, at least for me, is not necessarily a curriculum miss, but more like a family miss. It's our season, it's our preference, it's just where we're at right now. It's what we chose as a whole, and does everything fit together, and some mistakes on my part as well. So I want to preface it with that first, because what is a curriculum hit or miss for us right now could be just the opposite for you, or even myself in a different season of life. I might have mentioned this in a previous video, but one of the misses for us was something that could have been avoided had I known better. So that is one reason I love to share our homeschool journey with you, because I learn a lot from people who are a little bit ahead of me. And now that we've been doing this for a decade, I feel like I actually have something to share. My 9th grader enrolled as a dual enrollment student at a local community college for Japanese 1. And that was going to be high school credit and college credit for foreign language. She had taken online courses in the past, but 9th grade year especially was a big year of transitioning into a lot more online courses, but I did not do my due diligence in looking into the professors. And I really wasn't aware of how much information about professors are online, so the course was really hard for her. Not hard in an academic sense, but more understanding the communication of the teacher and the organization. There were enough issues where I really understood her frustration, and we made the mistake of not dropping the class before the deadline, and so she did have to take a W. And that was painful for me, just feeling like I failed her, and freshman year right off the bat she has a W. But we did feel like that was the best choice instead of finishing off the course and struggling through it. So we learned a big lesson, and she has been taking American Sign Language at a different community college, dual enrolled for the spring and summer, and doing really well. One curriculum that was hard for us to get through this year was Beautiful Feet's Early American History. And you probably already know this, but I love Beautiful Feet books. I love Beautiful Feet books. The teacher guide is full of just great ideas. Some of our best homeschool memories have been with Beautiful Feet books. This year in particular, I had mentioned before, but just hard for me to get to many hands-on projects. And so because I know what a year with Beautiful Feet books could look like, it's more my disappointment that I didn't have the capacity to bring it to that level. So that's the hard part, when you know how good it can be and you just can't get there. So we read through the books 4 times a week. We did the timeline. My kids asked to watch some of the videos. They love the recommended videos, and that was easy for me to implement. But the rabbit trails, the recipes, the crafting ideas, my daughter actually was flipping through the teacher guide and she's like, "Mommy, there's crafts in here?" Like, she was so disappointed that I did not bring those to the table. So in hindsight, I guess I could have just given them the teacher book to look through the crafts and pick something that they can possibly do independently. That could have maybe worked too. But I just didn't have the bandwidth to facilitate anything like that. So I'm sure if you've been homeschooling for a while, you know what I mean. There's just seasons that it doesn't work out that way. But other than that, we love the literature, the videos, suggestions were great. And overall, I would say our year in history was a good one. Let me start with the curriculum hits, and I really try to narrow this list down for you so that I wasn't just resharing everything that we've used for the year. We've had a great year in terms of curriculum choices, so I wanted to highlight the curricula that really stood out in some way that offered a little more than I expected, where it took me by surprise in some way. So I will list down below in the description the video links to my curriculum choices for 3rd, 6th, and 9th grade, just so you can see what we've used collectively. There's so much goodness in a lot of what we used, but what I'm sharing today are just the above and beyond curriculum. The things that really help produce an enjoyment of learning, the things that really worked for our family in our season. So these things may not be a great fit for you, and it might not have been a great fit for me in previous seasons, but that's kind of how it works, right? With curriculum choices, it's what will work for you in your season of life in terms of your schedule, how many kids, the ages of your kids, and things like that. So the first thing that I want to share with you is something we used in our morning meeting with everyone. So it was me and all 3 kids working through this curriculum, the Generous Students curriculum. And for 26 weeks, you will be going through the 7 ways of living generously. And they use a road trip as the journey to get there. So the 7 ways of living generously are your thoughts, words, time, money, influence, attention, and your belongings. So like I said, we use this in our morning time, and it's a 4-day-a-week curriculum. So the first day is usually an intro to the topic. It goes through exactly what is the thing that we're focusing on. Day 2 will typically be a day of focusing on scripture and what the Bible has to say about this topic, and that has been really rich. So here's an example of day 2. It's a map it out scripture connection, and there's a devotion along with scripture that goes deeper into what was introduced on day 1. There are times where we did the intro and the scripture connection on the same day. Totally doable with the ages that I have. And on the 3rd day, there is a generosity hero featured, and the curriculum does come with a book, which I actually didn't use. It's about this size. It's not this book, but it's about this size, and it includes all the stories of the generous heroes within that. However, Generous Family also has a portal, and that is really useful. I ended up using that quite a bit. Once you purchase the curriculum, you have access to the portal, and it's organized by week. So you just click the week, and it will include an audio of the stories of each generous hero. For example, this one is James Earl Jones for the Generosity Hero. So I would just log into the portal, play the audio of that, go through these discussion questions listed here, and each student has their own student handbook, and this is where they will write down their answers to the discussion questions. So I would usually read the question. They also have it within their book here. They would take a couple minutes to write down their answer, very short and sweet, and then once everyone's ready, we would discuss it together as a family. So day 4 and 5, it's optional to extend this to a 5-day-a-week curriculum, but we always kept it to 3 or 4. Right here, this one has 4 options for different ways to put this into practice, which I really appreciate. So 1 is affirmations, 2 a toothpaste demonstration, 3 a taste test, and 4 a field trip. And here it includes full descriptions of how to bring these ideas to life. So this was 26 weeks, and we've always done some kind of character and habit training, which is one of my favorite subjects to study in homeschooling, and I feel like it's well worth our time. But I mentioned in previous videos that I wasn't sure about focusing on just one character trait of generosity. Typically, we've done laying down the rails, we've done other things. Usually you're going through a variety of topics, which has been really great for us. So I was a little skeptical about focusing on just one topic for the entire year. Just would I get bored? Would they get bored? I wasn't sure. But the curriculum is designed so well that you're continuously engaged in what you're learning, and it's coming at you in so many different ways but it holds our attention, and it really inspires us to look for ways to be more generous in our lives. And I really wish that they made full curriculum in other habits that we can work on, like next year it could be something else. I just think it's really well done. If you're interested in using this curriculum in your morning time, I do have a link below with a 15% discount. Another curriculum hit this year was Beautiful Feats U.S. Geography for intermediate grades. This is designed for 4th through 6th grade, and I used it with my 3rd and 6th grader. We have done a study on the United States in the past, and this one was great to just focus in on geography. And one of my favorite parts about this was utilizing the giant U.S. map. And I've shared some of this on Instagram, but you're focusing on one section at a time and 2 states per week, and mapping out the important cities, the capital, the important landscape features, and by the end of it, you have this beautiful, full color labeled map. And that has been one of the highlights for me. I think other than science and art, we have scaled back a lot on like crafting and like big hands-on projects. So working on the map once a week has been a pleasure and enjoyable for my kids. And I love that this curriculum is only once a week, so we'd pull this out. We started off doing it every Wednesday, and then we switched it over to Monday because it was hard for me to midweek just change into geography. So we would do 4 days a week of history and then 1 day of geography. So I just love the simplicity of this. The atlas we used from National Geographic Kids was really great. There are some literature that you read alongside this, very doable for just once a week. So this was a great addition to our year. Another hit for us was Taking Asia for Jesus. And this was my first introduction to Generations homeschool curriculum. I was so impressed when I started flipping through this curriculum. The photos alone get me every time. This is categorized as history on their website, but I tend to use it more as a church history, geography, cultural study. This is their history level 4, but I love that we're learning about different countries and the church history behind it. So for each level of this curriculum, they work through different continents, and it's an education for myself as well. I just really love going through this together with my daughter. My 9th grader really enjoyed her year with exploring world history. This is from Notgrass, and similar to Generations, it dives into church history as well. She really appreciated the short readings. There's beautiful photos in here as well as an amazing literature selection. So they assign what to read in addition to this. So we ended up purchasing the bundle for this, which included the literature and also tests and answer keys. So I was very hands-off with this. She had a notebook she kept along with it. She's still in the habit of notebooking, so she would notebook from her reading. So I would check in with her every 2 or 3 days, and we would just go through the test verbally. And that was sort of our way of checking in and making sure she's staying on top of her reading and understanding what she's reading. Overall, this was very doable and enjoyable for her. She had a pretty full load last year, so history became a nice breath of fresh air. Our last hit for the 2023-2024 school year was our science, and we used Exploring Creation with chemistry and physics. This is from Apologia, and I will link a video below of frequently asked questions about Apologia. So if you've been here for a while, you know I've used so many of their curricula, and I have to say this one in particular was one of our best years. There are so many options for hands-on learning, and I highly recommend, if you can, to get the lab kit from Nature's Workshop Plus. They are so handy and convenient, and I feel really helped us to get our labs done. And because we purchased it, I knew I wouldn't want to let those items sit in a box. I would want to make sure that we use it and get our money's worth. Since it was such a busy school year with so many things going on, so many new things to adjust to, I purposely did not want to do much extra hand things like we did in probably 2020. That was our most, hands-on year. We were at home so much. So we did a lot of crafting and baking and all those extra things. And this year, I just knew I could not manage that. This became our main hands-on learning subject, and because of that, my kids really looked forward to it. For the notebooking journal, I feel like my kids are at that great age where reading and writing is not such a chore anymore, and just to flip through their notebooks at the end of this past school year was such a reward. It's full of these illustrations and great note-taking, and I feel like I didn't have to be as involved with being on top of their notebooks, so just checking their journal at the end of the week and making sure they're on track. So this was a big win for us. Those are our curriculum hits and misses for the past school year. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions at all. I'd be happy to address those. And check out the playlist for a lot more feedback on different curriculum, and I will see you in the next video.